too many voices telling you who to be. You start second guessing yourself. You start moving on autopilot. And when everything around you is loud, it becomes hard to hear the one voice that matters most, your own. Welcome back to CreelTalk. It's good to have you here, and I'm hoping that you plugging in every week, this space is becoming more like a community of people learning, growing, and navigating real life together. And if you've been following along, we've been on a journey. 2 weeks ago, we talked about staying faithful in the in between. Last week, we explored how to stay consistent when motivation fades. And today we're taking the next step in this journey. Because sometimes, even when you're committed, even when you're trying, even when you're doing the work, life gets loud. The noise comes from everywhere: responsibilities, expectations, opinions, distractions, pressure, uncertainty, and the middle of all the noises, it can feel almost impossible to hear your own thoughts, let alone your purpose, your peace, or your directions. That's why today's conversation is so important. We're talking about how to find clarity when life gets loud, but how to quiet the internal and external noises to reconnect with what matters, and how to create the space for the kind of clarity that brings confidence, calm, and direction back into your life. So settle in, take a deep breath, and while you're here, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you stay connected as we keep growing to these seasons together. The first thing I want to talk about is naming the noise, the overwhelm we don't always admit. Life doesn't always get loud in obvious ways. Sometimes it's not chaos, it's clutter, not crisis, just constant pressure, not disastrous, just distractions. The noise show up as too many responsibilities, opinions, expectations, decisions, too many voices telling you who to be. And when everything around you is loud, it becomes hard to hear the one voice that matters most, your own. You start second guessing yourself. You start moving on autopilot. You start reacting instead of choosing. And slowly, without even noticing it, you drift away from your center. Today's episode is about coming back home to yourself. The first thing I want to dive into is how to create space before you seek answers. Clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from creating space. When life gets louder, our natural instinct is to push through. Just work a little harder, to keep grinding, keep hustling, keep figuring it out. But clarity rarely shows up in the middle of motion. It shows up in the pause. Ask yourself these three questions. When was the last time I sat in silence? When was the last time I unplugged? In the busy world of social media and easy access to everything, is hard for us to actually unplug. When was the last time you did that? When was the last time I let myself breathe? Like take a deep breath in, out, and actually hear the wind. When was the last time you did that? When was the last time you let yourself breathe without rushing to the next thing? Silence isn't empty, it's where your thought settle enough for truth to rise. Even 5 minutes of intentional quiet can shift your entire day. Secondly, get good at identifying what's noise and what's guidance. Not everything loud is important. Not everything urgent is meaningful. Some noises come from outside. People's expectations, social media, comparison, pressure to perform. Some noises come from inside. Fear, doubt, overthinking, old narrative that no longer fits who you're becoming. Clarity begins when you separate those two. Work on asking yourself this every single time you find yourself maybe confused in the middle of identifying whether this is noise or guidance. The first thing I'll ask myself would be, is this voice pushing me or guiding me? Is this voice pressuring me? Is this pressure coming from purpose or from fear? Does this thought align with who I want to be? If it doesn't, drop it. Guidance feels steady, noise feels frantic. Learning the difference is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. When everything feels loud, your value becomes your compass. Quick shout out to everyone who's been supporting CreelTalk. If you've been rocking with us and you want to represent the movement, we've got new merch now available. Every piece was created with intention. Hoodies, tees, pieces that speak to growth, purpose, and real conversations just like this podcast. Grab something that inspires you or gift it to someone who is on their own growth journey. Now, let's talk about returning to your values. Because when everything feels loud, your value is the thing that matters when everything else is shifting. They're the truth that stays steady when life feels unstoppable. Maybe your values are peace, growth, faith, family, integrity, creativity, service. When you're unsure what to do next, ask. Which choice aligned with my value? Which path honors who I am? Clarity isn't always about knowing the whole plan. Sometimes it's simply choosing the next step that aligns with your core. Now, let's talk about limiting the voices that drain you. You don't have to listen to everything. Some voices inspire you, some voices inform you, some drain you, and some confuse you. And some voices, even the well meaning ones, pull you away from your purpose. Here's my advice: it's okay to mute the voices, it's okay to mute the noise. Unfollow accounts that trigger comparison, set boundaries with people who overwhelm you, limit conversation that leave you anxious. Protect your mental and emotional peace. I cannot stress to you how important this is. These are the things that bring peace in Helene's life. Whenever I get to a point in any relationship, I know this is a topic for a whole different time, but if you ever find yourself in the middle of a relationship that is draining you, triggering you, making you anxious, my advice is mute it, pause it, pause and set boundaries with people who overwhelm your life. Limit conversations that leave you anxious. It's important to protect your emotional peace. You're not being rude, you're being responsible. And your clarity is worth protecting anytime. Listen to the quiet voice within. I truly believe we all have the Holy Spirit within us, and it talks back to us. There's a voice inside of you that doesn't shout, it whispers. It is a voice of wisdom. It is the voice of intuition, the voice of faith, the voice of peace. That voice that shows up when something is right and when something isn't. You've heard it before, you've felt it before, and you've trusted it before. But when life gets loud, that voice gets buried in the noise. That's usually what happens when life gets very noisy, the voice get buried. Clarity comes when you slow down enough to hear it again. Sometimes the answer you're searching for is already inside of you. It's just waiting for quiet time. It's important to practice emotional reflection, a moment to breathe. Take a deep breath. Let the noise fall away for a moment. Let the pressure loosen up its grip. Let your mind settle. You don't have to have everything figured out every single day. You don't have to solve every problem all at once. You don't have to carry every voice in your head. You just need one thing: clarity for the next step. And that clarity comes when you give yourself permission to pause, to listen, to trust the quiet voice within you. As we wrap up today's conversation, remember this: clarity doesn't always come in a dramatic moment. Sometimes it arrives quietly, in the pause, in the breath, in the decision to silence the noise long enough to hear what's truth. When life gets loud, you have the power to choose what you let in and what you release. And every time you choose stillness, every time you choose alignment, every time you choose your own voice over the noise, you're taking the next step towards a clearer, more grounded version of yourself. If this episode resonated with you, don't forget to let me know. Hit like and subscribe. It helps this community grow and keeps you connected as we walk through this next season together. I would love to hear from you in the comment. What's one area you're choosing clarity this week? Make sure you join me next week. On the next episode, I would like to discuss how to walk through open doors with confidence. Because when clarity comes, opportunities start to appear. And the next challenge is learning how to step into them boldly, without hesitation, without shrinking, and without second guessing yourself. You won't want to miss it.